song.
Good music.
Oh, man,
Great
we
music.
love it, man.
Second half music.
Well, it's the first half as well.
Yeah, I was going to say we heard the first half too.
We considered changing it, but it's not an original. There's a lot of industries and businesses that use this one because this was like a free one. You know?
Well, there you go.
Yeah, we picked it up because we weren't going to get like busted by YouTube
Dude, we're
when
gonna
we
get
post this shit. Because
dinged.
Jesus,
And because it's cool.
Yeah,
it is cool.
Yeah, we got dinged by Romania.
Yeah, we get
Of all
dinged.
Romania.
So when we post
Romania.
shit
Wow.
on YouTube, but we will because
You guys are famous worldwide.
yeah,
Yes.
they
We already-
hit us everywhere uniformly.
Unless they're looking for a husband, you're going to be a Romanian. They want some Romanian brides,
There
right?
you go.
Right.
pretty much.
Yep.
So the thought around that whole thing was that every time we do like some skits where we have 80s music, 60s, 50s, whatever it is, and we do the top hits or top videos or whatever, we play these sound bites and we upload it to YouTube. And the YouTube, if it's over like 5-10 seconds, they're kind of like, oh my god, you just played ABBA, you guys are assholes, and we're gonna hurt you.
Oh yeah, they
delete the thing.
research
It's
that
so
against
fucking
their
stupid,
catalog,
man.
and there's artificial intelligence that
Yeah,
looks
it's
at the
a-
rhythm.
Oh, AI
For
is all
copyright.
over all that crap.
Yeah, yeah.
We
Eyes over
even
all that
got
stuff.
flagged for vaccine COVID disinformation.
Which was
probably true.
it was 100% true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. I don't think they're doing that anymore.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
I should contest it at this point and get those other podcasts
We had 2
admitted.
There you
strikes.
go.
We allowed 3 strikes. I think we had 2 strikes, didn't we?
Well, I don't even know. I got
YouTube still dropped.
Got
These other
disgruntled.
guys were on TV the other day, and they did a podcast with Donald Trump, and they came out with a hard seltzer. Because YouTube, the very next day, they had like 3 million views on YouTube. The next day, they got dropped
Because they talked about hard seltzer.
because Trump was on there. They interviewed Trump along with their hard seltzer
It's so much bullshit.
for 5 or 10 minutes. That Trump actually showed up
That is outrageous.
for their podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that. It happens all the time.
So they didn't discuss anything that violated rules. They just don't like Trump, so they dropped
No.
him.
Yeah.
That's
Recently,
bullshit.
in the last year.
That's
They
bullshit.
have the power to do it, and they and you know what the thing is that I hope that our administration is looking into all these weird ass loopholes that these cocksuckers are throwing at us. But look, it's April 8th. It's the second half of the Dudes Like Us podcast. Chuck, our producer, is on board here. We have a special guest tonight. Dudes Like Us, I'm Sean.
I'm Paul.
I am Jeff.
And Mike.
And Mike is here. And Mike, you're from Katy, Texas originally. Where do you currently live?
Oh, Katy, Texas. Yeah.
You still live there?
Yeah,
But you're from New York.
I grew up in New York.
Uh,
Yeah. In
yeah.
New York. Fled as quick as I could.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, you know, I was born in Maryland. I'm a military brat, so I moved a lot. But I guess it's set aside from being here in Texas. I was from Jersey a lot. You know, we've got a lot of family in Connecticut.
God's country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to
apparently.
retire and die there. Is
Yeah.
What you said.
Yeah. Well,
He
look,
took a trip to New Jersey and he was
But-
like, "Oh my God, it's so beautiful."
dude, it's called the Garden State for a reason.
Parts of Jersey are absolutely gorgeous, and parts
Yeah,
of
but he was-
upstate New York are phenomenally
Well,
gorgeous.
he was in Newark.
Yeah.
I was not
Right.
fucking Newark, you cock.
He was like, I don't ever want to come home. I love it here.
There's so
Well,
many
I grew up
Irish
in the
bars.
city. I grew up in the city, McSorley's bar,
Yeah.
downtown New York City. I grew up in the city, and it's just coming to Texas, having the elbow room,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, there you
and
go.
the ability to like buy a gun and shoot it, and nobody complain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
That's
know,
your neighbor.
you don't go deer hunting in New York,
Wow.
you know, and not very much anyway. You know,
Yeah.
Even outside of the big cities, you can't go
you can, upstate New York,
upstate.
Yeah, but
But-
you travel a little bit further. Like in Connecticut, you can't even have. You travel with bullets, you get in trouble.
Well,
You know?
say remember the Obama years when they were trying to outlaw AR-15s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my cousin is a police officer, right? He just recently got elected county sheriff. Another story, but so he's been in criminal justice, police officer all his life, and so during that time, the average gun, the rifle, AR-15s, etc., went from like $700 to $2,000, $2,500.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And he calls me up one day and I said, "Hey man, what's going on?" He goes, "Do you want my rifle? I built an AR-15. You know, I can't keep it anymore." It's like, "What do you mean you can't keep it?" He said, "It's a new law in New York State." He said, "So you're a police officer and you have an FFL?"
Right.
And he said, "Yeah, the law changed. So what happened is I'm a police officer. I have my FFL. If I clock out and I'm still in my squad car and I still have my uniform on, I cannot have the AR-15 in my trunk, even if it's under lock and key, because I'm no longer on the clock
Right.
as a uniformed police officer.
Right, he's off duty. Yeah.
He's off duty. It's like, so he said, I'll give it to you for like $700. I said, sold.
No kidding.
And I had to go find somebody so he could transport it. But it
Right.
was at the time I could have resold it for $2,000.
Sure.
I said, no, I want one.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, hell yeah, I want one.
They're fun.
So yeah, it's like, it's great. It's just an adult toy.
It is. It
Plinking.
really is.
It's just plinking. It's like, okay, fine.
It's fun to shoot.
And I'm not paying $2,000 for something I know is worth $700.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Super cool.
So as a police officer in a uniform, he's not allowed to have it, even if he had his FFL. He said, so I'm giving up my FFL. I'm getting out of the business.
I think they've reversed some of that language in the policies
Let's
New
hope.
York did.
recently. Yes,
Yeah.
even New York.
Really?
Is he still in the
It's
force?
unconstitutional.
Is he up?
So he wants it back.
So did he go?
No.
And you're like, sorry.
Was he in New York City?
No, upstate New York. County
Upstate.
sheriff. He's one of the county sheriffs.
Okay, so did he catch any of that defund the police and all that protesting against the police? Did he experience any of that?
I don't know. He doesn't talk about it much, but I know how he feels about it.
Sure.
Right.
But I don't think not near as much. The New York City cops, God bless them.
That's what I was
it's
gonna
like,
say.
whoa.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah,
seriously.
And
They're short-staffed.
they're
they're
short-staffed.
overworked.
Right. It's
And
horrible.
they're not appreciated.
Yeah, and they're not appreciated.
That's
I know.
changing. I do feel that's changing. The tide has turned. People are starting to realize, wow, they prefer, law and order as opposed to crime.
Well, most
I hope
people
so.
did.
I hope
even most of the folks back then did. If the normal people that you would talk to in neighborhoods,
Right.
no, we want the police because the violence goes down when they're walking the streets.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's just-
Absolutely.
when the social worker walks down the street, they don't care.
Yeah, they're like, hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be like when I was a teenager, you mouthed off to a cop, you got the baton on the side of your head. If you're
Yeah.
lucky, that's all you got.
Right,
They didn't beat the crap out of you. And then you went home and told your parents, then they beat the crap out of you.
right.
So,
Yeah, what happened
so you don't
those
do that.
years?
Yeah.
I mean,
You don't
that's
do that
kinda
anymore.
like-
It's like,
that was
who beat you up? Oh,
Yeah.
some strange
Let's
kid.
go back to the
Not a
beat the crap
police
out of
officer. It's
days.
like,
that was warranted though. I mean, look, it was just like sometimes your parents didn't want to beat you, so they're like, all right, well, we'll let somebody else do it, and
Right.
and it worked. Hey, look, I've had some friends that needed it. I mean, some
That's
guys
true.
that were just off the hook. You're kind of like, yeah, you know why you got beat up by the cops?
because you deserved
It's
it.
because what's
I don't know.
going on?
Well, I know I told
What happened?
all my boys' teachers that if you need to spank my boys, you have my permission. I'll put it in writing if you need it.
They can't even do that
I know,
anymore.
No,
Yeah,
I know, but
so-
but still, I was like, if they
The paddle is our friend.
yeah, that's what I said. I was like, the paddle was big in my school growing up, and nobody wanted it. So
Imagine
you behaved
that.
yourself.
Yeah, imagine
have you
that.
gotten paddled?
I never got paddled.
Oh, bullshit.
What about you?
Oh, yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
really?
Oh,
No,
God.
no. I'm talking in school, not.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
not
oh, yeah.
last
Not in
night.
the
Oh, yeah.
bedroom. Yeah.
No, I went to private Catholic school when I was younger.
Oh, now
I-
the plot thickens.
not Sister Mary Elephant, Irish Christian Brothers. And so they would, remember in the adult school, they used to have like the 4-inch tall rubber molding on the bottom of the floor.
Yeah.
They just rip that stuff off the floor and start hitting you with it.
Oh, God.
And so you got to hold out your hand, right? And you get like 3 whacks. If you pull your hand back, you got another 3.
Yeah.
You got like double. So it's like you just take your medicine, your hand was like beat red. And it's like, no, it's just
Yeah, they didn't
just,
screw around.
just suck it up.
I had a coworker that told me when she was a schoolgirl,
Yep.
the nuns would walk around, and if they
With the ruler,
with the ruler.
Oh, yeah.
And if they
Big
were
time.
it was like writing something incorrectly, or
anything.
if they were left-handed and
Anything.
writing with their left hand, it whack. I mean, just like
Anything.
dude.
And don't say a word.
Yeah. Thank you. May I have another?
Just don't say a word.
Yeah, you're not allowed to complain about it.
No.
No, we need
No.
that. Let's go back to
Let's
that.
bring it back. Corporal punishment in the
Yes.
schools.
So
I would-
I remember when I lived in New Jersey, and my dad got restationed to the United States Army Sergeant Major's Academy in El Paso, Texas, and we moved down there. In the first school I went to, I'm the Hispanics, let's be honest, they're on average they're shorter than I am. So I was out on the basketball court and I was playing basketball because I love playing basketball. I played a lot when I was in New Jersey, and I'm throwing around doing my thing, and all these guys are so much. I'm like just trouncing on them. So I like grab the net because I'm not that big because I'm normal, but they're not normal, So I grab the net. And I'm like I pull myself up and I grab the do a little. I slam
You're
it.
showing off.
Oh, just being a dumbass. So this coach, I never forget him, this black coach. I don't remember his name though, but he says, "Hey, come on over here." And I was thinking, oh, he's going to ask me to be on the team.
Absolutely.
This is
you
good.
look that good.
Oh, why don't you come over to my office here? He takes me and he put your hands right there. And I was like, what's going on here? Open up a drawer. And it was like, you're not allowed to be grabbing the net like that. And as a punishment, just go ahead and leave your hands there for a second. Whack! And I was like,
broke all your fingers?
no, he hit my ass.
Yeah.
Oh.
He hit my ass. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
So you didn't even see it coming.
No, not at all. And which was actually kind of a blessing because, the
You'd have
fear
been like,
of...
no.
You'd have clenched.
Oh, dude, I would have clenched. It would have been horrible.
Yeah.
But I was just
The
thinking
clench.
the
The clench.
aftermath.
That's a thing, the clench.
But
clench.
it's just like the fact that the audacity of that teacher to react like that,
Right.
and take it upon himself to do that to me. Now,
Now,
did it teach me? Yes. Was it wrong for him? In retrospect, I'm thinking, yeah, there's probably should have been a little due process.
Probably. Yeah.
I think that was uncool. Did he get his point across? Yeah, I fucking never touched another net again.
Yeah. Well, no, the good thing is you never play basketball again.
Oh, yeah.
And that's good. The world needed that.
Yeah, well, he asked me to actually play after that, and I told him, really? And I was like, no, man,
you're
I'm
like,
not playing for you.
You lost your star player, coach.
Yeah,
So now we can't even jump to grab the net.
dude,
Come on.
Well, you got that little trampoline. You can scoot that under the rim. And
He
For
runs with
our
it when
listeners
he's
that don't
playing
know what he's
basketball.
talking about, I bought myself is it a Bellatone? I bought myself a little trampoline.
very expensive
it's a-
exercise trampoline.
It's a jazzercise trampoline.
Yeah, man, I got one, and you know what? It works. It has tightened up my core strength, and I'm super excited about that because it has done nothing for my weight, but it has done everything for my core strength.
Now
And-
now you're country strong.
Oh, dude, I could
You
jump
just sit
up.
ups all day.
You can carry like 8 drywall boards with one arm.
What I could do is I could jump around like I'm on the trampoline. So if I need to get up and but what it does, it tones my
Or you're polka dancing up at
But-
McKinney.
yeah, that too.
Oh,
But
you were jumping
it's-
so high.
it's the core strength. I'm telling you, it's the core strength, and it really does work. Because at the end of the day, guys our age, we have to maintain that core
We
strength.
should be doing something.
You
We
know,
should be
and
doing
if you're
something.
getting up like Paul sometimes at 4:45 in the morning, you idiot, and to go
Whatever.
play basketball, it's like that's one thing. That's a little extreme.
The
You know, some
exercise or
guys-
go to the bathroom at 4:45.
Yeah, there you go. And then
There's a
that's
difference.
too. I'd like to. I don't like to get up that early though. Frankly, I got my routine thing. But my point is exercise for guys like us. You got to do it. The core strength thing is awesome.
Yes,
It is.
yes.
It's important.
Yeah, walks. I don't do those, but I rationalize that.
You
saying
heard that they're good.
Well, I mean that's what my doctor says. Hey, go for a walk. Stop
Did you buy
drinking so
did you
much.
buy some rollerblades?
I did. That was a noble effort. That was kind of like
Cut down trees. Cut down trees. To use my
so.
chainsaw. There
Look,
go.
I was a
No,
huge,
with a hatchet.
I was a
Oh,
huge
better.
rollerblade enthusiast in the early 90s. I rollerbladed off the frickin' hook. I was a freak. I'd
Did you
go
have
down.
like big hair
Oh yeah.
cans?
Show us
just
some
grooving?
videos.
Oh,
Chuck.
dude! What I would
Show
do
us
is
some rollerblades.
I'd have
videos.
I'd have a backpack on with water and Gatorade and snacks and like a half pound of pot, and I was like going to these woody forested areas.
And your
where they
shorts were
have-
this big?
Oh, with the tall socks, go fast stripes, and just like just
and
flying through
and
there.
the chicks were like,
That's
"Oh,
that's a
he's
bad
so hot."
look. It's a bad look.
Oh,
but I didn't
totally.
care. I had my cassette player with headset on, and I was just like cruising.
Your Sony Walkman.
Dude, I'm telling you, I could go for 20 miles on
Sounds like
rollerblades.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Right.
That's what that
Yeah,
sounds
that's kind of
It's
what
totally-
the feel was.
You're scaring me.
Yeah, well, it's true though. My point is that I wanted to get back to some of that because I enjoyed it because I could rollerblade forever and ever and ever.
You
But that-
could just diet.
That ship has sailed. I'm
That's
not
an
worried.
option.
No, it's not about dieting and
All right.
losing weight. I actually enjoyed the rollerblading. It was a lot of fun.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
I mean, it is fun.
because you're going super fast, and when you're going down these trails and
Dude,
stuff,
that's
it's
you
so
right
much
there.
fun.
Look at you jumping over like little.
Actually, that's 100% me. I really enjoy doing that, and I did it when it wasn't even cool.
It's much more strenuous if you do it in rush hour traffic.
Yes, and jump over cars and shit.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't
See
do it
right
on the
there.
streets like that. I lived in Las Colinas, Texas, Irving, Texas, and we hit a lot of parking garages at night, like 11
Literally?
o'clock at night.
Yeah. And
You know?
scraped up all the railings and scraped up all
No,
stuff.
parking garages. So we this is what we take an elevator all the way
I'm
to
watching
the
it.
top.
I'm thinking organ donor. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like,
Well, there's
I
a
don't know.
video of these guys, but
He's a hot shot.
But I wouldn't jump up on stuff like that. It was mostly just it was pure fun. It really was. Well, I enjoyed it, and I encourage people
It's
to
it's great for
that.
de-stressing, right?
Yeah, that ship has sailed. I'm
We
not
all
doing
have
that
something
crap
different
anymore. But yes, I
for
did buy some
de-stressing.
rollerblades.
Yeah.
Did you at least try it?
Oh yeah, put the rollerblades on, and I went down the street. And I was like, "Fuck,
I'm
Can't
done.
I can't.
I
do
got to
this
go
anymore.
back."
and
now.
you walked back.
No, I rollerbladed back, but it's just like,
take him off and walk back.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
it's
I
just
got a
like
bunion.
This was a bad idea.
No, well, I mean, I could probably do it. I just don't make
This was-
time
this-
for it.
this was-
Oh
There he
Lord,
is.
look at this. This
There you
she's
go.
That's Sean now.
no, that is.
We're-
There we go.
God.
There we go.
We're watching a few train wrecks here.
Just stop at the brick wall, please.
Yes.
Oh, that was horrible. All right, so de-stressing. Mike? What's your de-stressing go-to?
Cut down trees.
Seriously.
Yeah, with the chainsaw.
And
Yeah,
he uses
I do that.
his new patented chainsaw blades.
Yeah, and
Do you have a lot of trees on your land or anything like that? or-
well enough to use a chainsaw.
Nice.
Yeah, but
So what? How many?
I would
you have-
love to do more deer hunting if anybody knows any deer hunting places to go. But yeah,
I mean,
more
so
shooting.
you have
Get
land.
a lease,
You have
yeah.
land in South Houston.
No,
or South
just a
Texas.
couple acres.
Oh,
No,
okay.
just enough. Yeah, we're on the outskirts of the city. It's just enough. Trees in Houston's subtropical, so trees grow where you don't want them to.
Right.
And if I don't take care
I've
of it
got
this
hair like
year, I'll
that.
get it next year. But the tree is 10 feet taller next year,
Yeah.
literally. So yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned it's the cherry. What was the name of the tree that's very invasive?
Oh yeah, the Chinese
tallow.
tallow.
Chinese.
Chinese
okay. And then
tallow, yeah.
bamboo's the same way, isn't it? Very invasive. Like-
Bamboo's a grass, but yeah, technically it's a grass. So it's the biggest grass you ever saw.
That's
Yes.
almost impossible to get
Well,
rid
they've got
of.
a couple species of bamboo. And there's a bamboo grass. There's a bamboo freaking shoot too that comes out like 8, 10, 12, 15, 6 feet.
And that's
in the air.
spread.
That's a grass, and yet
That-
it's like a freaking.
Oh, it's a
stalk.
spear.
It
It's
is.
a
Like-
javelin.
It's
It's like
crazy.
Jeff's nose hairs.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh,
You don't want to put that in your yard either because it
Yeah.
spreads and it'll spread to your neighbors and
It's
their neighbors.
crazy. It's crazy.
It's bad. I hear
Interesting.
just
Yeah.
I read
With
stories.
that, you garden with Roundup.
Yeah, that's
You
how
have
you
to.
kill it.
You
huh?
have to. Yeah.
You have to kill it. You can't cut it down.
Oh man, I wouldn't want to use Roundup with all the weird
Lawsuits and chemicals.
Oh,
and
dude, it's
Send my kid out there. Let him do it.
Send your kid
There
out
you
there
go.
to round up it.
There you go.
No, just
The
just,
kid with the third eye.
just burn it.
Yeah.
Just burn it. I guess. I don't know.
Nice.
Speaking of burning, what do we got going on this weekend?
We're burning. What?
It's my anniversary this weekend.
April 12th is your
April 12th,
anniversary.
28
That's good
years.
stuff.
Yeah, it'll be
All
28
right.
years.
We were going to head to the Scarborough Fair. We may still go, but I'm kind of on the fence. I may not go. We usually go to the Renaissance Fair.
Oh, that's nice.
We being the family, the kids and
Mhm.
I, and my kid being the youngest is 22. So
Oh, so you can drink with him. That's good.
100%,
Have some meat or
yeah.
something.
That's fun.
it is
Yeah.
fun.
And they all get dead dressed up, and they.
Yeah, we get up. I wear a kilt. My son dresses up like a
You want to wear
pirateer.
funny clothes and you want to drink mead and have a sword because you got to have alcohol with something sharp in your hand. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
They
absolutely.
sell all
That's
they
always
sell
a good
all those
idea.
swords that are real. They're dangerous.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there's a couple of swords. I mean, we
Mhm.
have
Battle
there's-
axes.
Perfect. There's,
Not the
there's a lot
wife,
of people
not
that
the
have
wife.
that kind of stuff. They're dressed up like it's the Game of Thrones kind of
Yeah.
program. I also for like last year I saw some guys dressed up like Star Trek. I thought it was freaking hilarious.
If I went, I'd wear my flamingo joust outfit. That I wore on
Perfect
top.
for Halloween.
Yeah, I still have the jousting things.
Oh, that's
Yes.
kind of cool. So for those
You
dudes like us
sh-
listeners
you
out there that don't
should.
know what we're talking about, Jeff had he arrived at my Halloween party, which he seldom does, dressed. He shows up at the Halloween party, but he never shows up dressed
In
up.
costume,
Right.
yes.
This
Yeah.
time it's one of those little blow up things. You step into it, it's got this little
Fan.
2D batteries. It's like, this thing blows up. And he's dressed up like the arcade game Joust. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like some sort of
I've got a
bird,
I've got a Gandalf costume, so that's not so bad.
That would work.
That's like a gray wolf robe.
It's pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would work for the Renaissance Festival.
Yeah.
Does it come with a beard?
Yeah, and
Nice.
I made an even bigger stick to take with me to the.
You
So
bring
yeah.
that.
There you go.
and
That's perfect.
Your little onesie and a thong. I
There
think
you
you'd
go.
be all in.
And you have the Renaissance Festival in Magnolia.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
that one's a
Have-
pretty big one.
Have you
That's
been?
a huge. Oh yeah, several
you've been?
times. Oh yeah,
Oh, okay,
many times. Yeah,
Nice.
it's actually it's pretty cool.
No,
It
it's
really-
actually in Plantersville. It's not in. It's just
well,
north,
true. Yeah, right. It's
just
north. Yeah.
of Magnolia. Yeah.
Really?
I used to. So I lived in Cyprus.
It's a production. It's a big deal.
Oh yeah. So I lived in Cyprus, and then I went to A&M, right? And
Right,
so
right,
I took that back road through Magnolia,
Sure.
249, and I always used to go right past that
You
Plantersville.
can't believe all the homes now. It's insane.
Oh, dude, it
I
is
mean,
insane.
it's
I know.
crazy.
Are,
all
are
the
they
developers.
actual homes for residents, or the communities they set up for all the?
Colony
uh,
Ridge?
Well, $1 million homes.
Oh,
you know,
I thought you were referring to
the starter home's
temporary
$500K.
homes
No,
for
no.
the
Like,
immigrants.
no. Real.
Yeah, you know what
homes.
he's talking about, right? They built some sort of migrant
Oh, there's
master plan community
there's-
somewhere.
there's-
No, well, there's one colony there that everybody like look the other way, and they've been decimated now because of the INS has come into town.
Oh, have they cleaned it out?
Yeah, so they're starting to clean it out. Yeah,
Nice.
but, well, Colony Ridge, I think it's called, but it's
Yes.
but some of the developers took advantage of people, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and they made them sign leases or
Imagine that.
contracts.
Right, and that's not right.
No, that's not right. So
And they knew they could because
correct,
they had them
'cause
by the
they're-
balls.
because they're undocumented. So
Right, and they're
yada,
like,
yada.
okay,
yeah,
well,
right.
you take this deal or we'll kind of rat you
Right,
out.
and so it was just a mess. You know, the whole thing's a mess because the developers took advantage of people.
Right.
Well, you know,
The
it's
roads
like,
aren't
which
up
came
to
first?
code.
The-
Yeah,
the-
which
the-
came
the-
right.
You know,
Yeah, it
the
becomes like a
chicken
no.
or the egg, and it's just like, dude,
The poor people or all the developers that took advantage of them.
Right.
So it's
And-
nuts.
And then ultimately it becomes a no-go zone like in Europe.
Yeah, it's
yeah. Well,
it's-
that shit's not going to fly.
Yeah.
I
No.
mean, and that's exactly why we were talking about the what is it, that city in Plano.
Totally different.
We're not going to
though.
dive too much into it, but
yeah.
you know, it's simply like that. You don't want to create communities that have the potential to be nefarious.
Well, so you know, the history lesson is my grandparents. One set was Irish, one set was Italian. They came over. Actually, they met. Both of them met while they were here.
Yeah.
And they all came through Ellis Island with these certificates. And you had to do a couple things. You had to swear that you weren't sick, first of all, so you weren't a drain on society. But you also had a financial sponsor. So
Mhm.
my grandmother was sponsored by my aunt, right? So my aunt came over first, got a job, and then one by one, yes, it's like chain migration, but there was no welfare. So if you came
Right.
over and you had a relative, you had to live with them,
They were supported.
and they had to support you, and you got a job,
You're
great, you could
dependent.
stay. If you couldn't, eventually they'd say, you know, if you can't find a job, get the hell out and go
Yes.
back home.
That's the whole point.
And that's how it worked.
Now,
you know-
not so much.
So yeah, it
now
was.
it's we just give you money and
There
debit
you
card.
It was
Yeah,
open.
yeah.
There was
Oh,
no.
so
There was
much
no.
bullshit.
There was
And a
no
free
cell
phone.
phone. There's no cell phone.
Stay
There's
at
nothing.
the
you know.
Ritz Carlton Hotel.
Yeah, no.
It cost $500
Didn't
bucks
work.
a night.
Insane.
So my grandfather, my Italian grandfather, was very skilled at carpentry, and we still have furniture in our house that was made by him,
yeah.
over 100 years old.
Because it actually
And
is built to last.
this is, but you can't buy this anymore. It would cost a fortune if you could even get stuff like this.
Sure.
Handmade walnut that's curved and bowed. That's it's just amazing.
But didn't you build all that for your
Italian
wife?
marble.
You built all
Well,
that?
whatever I didn't have from my grandparents, that
he
I built for
commandeered
my,
it,
yeah.
repurposed it.
I'm a Frank Lloyd Wright guy. I like Frank Lloyd Wright architecture, so I build
Okay.
the oak out of that, and that's what I do. So that's
Nice.
kind of my specialty. Yeah.
But how do you have time to do that? Woodworking is very time consuming.
Yeah, I know. I guess I don't sleep. I don't know. I mean,
Are you one of those? You operate on 3 hours of sleep every day?
no, 5 or 6 probably.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it comes and goes. Sometimes a lot more and a lot less. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think differently. I just don't know. I just think differently.
Well,
I'm on a
you're-
different
You've got your
schedule.
hand in so many things that it's
Yeah.
like, you're kind of all over the place, which is great. I mean, you got a creative mind, and
It's great for ADD.
It keeps you going.
Yeah.
Just gotta keep moving.
I'm either ADD or a genius. It's one of the two.
Well, you
They're
said
usually
that.
both.
Well, you said that you were
Both.
a rocket scientist, and I know
Sure.
that SpaceX just had a big old thing a couple weeks ago
Big deal.
where they went up there and
rescued the guys.
Rescued
Yeah. Boeing.
those two folks.
The
yeah,
Boeing
Yeah, it's-
Starliner astronaut.
The
so
proper
much.
word is rescued. The
Yeah,
proper
they were
word is
rescued,
yeah.
100%. But you know,
Yeah.
there's so much going on there. I mean, set aside for the politics, you know, of the fact that Biden stunted the process getting them for whatever reasons for political gain. Forget that part. But let's just slide over to the other side where you've got these two astronauts that are stuck up in space and they're
Right.
being almost there for the longest period of time for any astronaut to be in the United States. They almost beat that record. But
They're supposed to be there for what, 8 days?
Yeah, maybe they extended
Yeah.
for what,
9 months.
8 months.
8
9
months.
months.
Yeah, long time.
And did you see the interview they had? Where
I
they
did,
were-
but what I was getting at was that the effects of being in zero gravity.
I was afraid
an
for them
extended
coming
period,
back,
you
that
know,
their
what it's
recuperation
gonna
would be
do
too long.
on their body because
Yeah.
they you know your body just starts
Your muscles
body
atrophy.
metabolizes different in zero gravity.
Yeah.
And just because they have is it anaerobic with the stretchy shit, you know, just because they have that type of exercise,
Gravity is everything.
it's
well,
different.
your bones get weaker,
yeah
potentially small.
Do you-
Your muscles get smaller.
Do your organs? It's because there's no gravity. I don't know how that works. Is there?
Yeah, your digestion.
does the
They
stuff
move
start
around.
Move around.
you
Yeah, they
turn
move around.
into
Your
some
heart
sort
goes
of-
down into your abdomen and your
Well,
penis.
yeah.
Scrotum.
Yeah.
It doesn't. So it doesn't that they
I like it. I like how you
But
go
you-
into space.
You turn into some sort of
blob.
I mean,
The blob.
you'd want to form because it's natural for your body to be able to form into itself into its own personal
Mhm.
little gravitational pull, and you know that's what their body's doing. Slow decomposition, so to speak. So I'm kind of wondering, from a person that's in space for an extended period like that, when they get down to Earth, I am super interested in the science that goes behind it. What kind of changes were made from their cells?
And my
What
question
kind of-
is, do they prep for that?
how can you prep for that?
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
You
so
can't
if you
live in a
know,
vacuum?
if
So
you
they
know,
have the treadmills, and the treadmills they have rubber bands on their shoulders. So when you jump up and down, the treadmill with the rubber bands forces you back down.
Sure.
It's fake gravity, right? Because it's
Right.
you're under stress of rubber bands.
Yeah,
No,
but
Still not
that's-
the same.
But
but
it's
my-
not
but my
the
point is-
gravity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my point is they were planning on being there for 8 days.
Right.
They have astronauts that are planning to be there for 6 months.
Right.
Do they train differently to try to
No.
condition the body to
all
be
you
less
can, All you
affected?
can do is be in the best shape possible when you lift off.
Right.
That's all you can do. After you get there, there's this same amount of exercises from
Something's happening. We're hearing
Oh,
noises.
bing bing.
No, it's gone
So,
now. That was
feedback.
weird, though.
So
That's
all you
weird.
can do is the exercises that you're given are the same for everybody.
Right.
All you can do more of them,
Right.
but yeah,
I just wondered that. You know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like maybe they were less prepared for their return because they. Oh,
My
shoo.
microphone.
Ooh, getting a
There's
buzz.
a feedback.
It's interesting.
It's not doing it now.
I'm thinking is
Your electricity has done a weird number on this room today, Mike.
Yeah, well, you're
there's
charging us.
weird shit's going on right now.
Well, I was gonna say, is there phantom power put into your microphone, but it's not lit up back there, so that's weird. Okay.
Well, you know,
All right, go on.
if they've been up there for 9 months,
Yeah.
and I know the want is to go to Mars. How long of a trip is that, and what is that going to do to the body? Or are they accounting to try to do? Because you see these movies where they have the spinning things to create.
Right.
That's
gravity.
the centrifugal force is probably the only way that I would see that
it's
they
not
can
real, though, I don't think.
Well, I think it's about as
I think
real
Mars
as-
is 6 to 9 months, but once you leave the atmosphere of the Earth, you've also got the magnetic radiation of the Earth that shields you from the solar radiation and the gamma rays. You no longer have that
Right.
Right.
when you leave the sanctity
There's
of
no
the Earth.
protection.
There's no protection, so
well,
they've
don't
got to have
you
extra shielding.
lose that once you leave orbit, anyways?
Well, yeah, I guess
when you get into orbit, you lose that, right?
they went to the moon for 7 days, though, not 7 months. Right. Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
See, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
So that is real.
Mm.
That is awesome.
But the radiation from space comes from all directions, not just from the sun. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're
So
getting
you
hit
have gamma
everywhere.
rays from everywhere.
and that's why we have great bourbon.
That's right.
Because the gamma rays.
That's what it is.
And see, we never kept.
So that was my thought with the Mars, is because I know there's a big push. Elon Musk wants to do it. Well, what's I guess I haven't seen what is his solution for all the gamma rays, the radiation, and
the body falling apart.
the body just
Right.
deteriorating on that 6 to 9 month trip out there.
There is no good solution.
Yeah.
No
No.
good. No. there's accommodation. You know, you can go there and then you could come back, hopefully, you know.
No shit.
But
So that's what I was talking about with the interview with these astronauts that were trapped up there.
Right.
They started to talk about what happened when they were getting ready to dock.
Yeah.
Okay. And the thrusters on the machine, they were not working. They could not control the vehicle, and they were worried that they were not going to be able to dock with the space station. If they couldn't have, they're saying they would have died.
Like they would have just gone out into space?
Because they would not have been able to return to Earth, and they would not have been able to steer the vehicle. They would have died.
Because they didn't have any thrusters.
And they were terrified. They were
they didn't have any suits that they could have just like walked over to the other ship?
No.
There's no exterior. Really?
Can't you just hold your breath?
Yes. Well, haven't you guys seen Guardians of the Galaxy? Remember, he's going and he gets all crystallized.
Well, I was thinking like Princess Leia.
Yeah, Princess Leia did
her
it too.
too.
Did that, yeah.
See,
but
that's
they
totally,
didn't have spacesuits.
I mean,
they're up to for 8 days. They weren't going spacewalks.
Even if they
you would think you would have like it's kind of like when you're in a boat. You need to have a life jacket. You know.
I don't think we appreciate how much is at risk and the planning that goes into it.
Well, they had enough to make sure that they had enough food.
Well, but that's on the space station itself, right?
Yeah,
but they could not dock with it, and so what happened was they had to reboot it and hope that the thrusters came back, and they did this remotely, and they did, and they were able to control it and dock, and it was dicey.
You know, the government has these funny programs where once you get into the process and you get in the groove, you go with that groove. And that groove for space is a 5 or 10 year cycle. So it wasn't uncommon. If you remember the Intel processors, we started with if you remember the 8086 years ago, I'm dating myself. One of the first Intel processors. Then you had the 286, the 386, the 486, the titaniums and all, right? So
I remember the 286.
Remember all that stuff?
Amazing.
Right. So if you think about it, by the time NASA was deploying the equivalent of the 286 processor on Earth, we had the 486.
Right.
Because we're 2 generations ahead. And for them to switch that would probably take another 2-3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably, that's why Elon Musk is so successful, because he says, just throw that crap out and use something new.
Right.
And then it's cheaper to just buy new crap, retest it, and recertify it than it is to just, go through these 20, meticulous steps.
Right.
Because they're all so programmatic, because they're so afraid of making a mistake. It's it can ruin your career if you make a mistake.
Right.
And the build it, test it, break it, and fix it, and then go on is not a mentality that's common in the government.
Right.
In the government, it's never make a mistake, never fail. Well, if you never fail, you've got to spend 10 times more effort just to get to where you would be if you just tried stuff and broke it and fixed it and then moved on. And you learn something from your mistakes, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's not worth rehashing and bringing something back to life. It's just better just scrap it and move on.
I wonder, so what is the future of the Boeing Starliner program? I mean, they got into massive screaming arguments, NASA and the Boeing officials, because they were like wanting to, Boeing wanted to bring the astronauts home.
Right.
And they were like, we have no confidence that the vehicle's going to, and it came home safely.
Right.
And it would have been fine. But they got into screaming matches about it, probably because, they knew they were going to be up there. Who knew how long they were going to be up there? And it was a huge black eye for Boeing.
Well, it's a black eye for everybody, right?
Everybody.
I mean, but there's always one guy that it's more of a black eye than the other.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
But I wonder, what's the future of the Starliner program?
Well, it says it's as of the 8th, which is today, it is uncertain.
No shit. And they've invested, probably $1 billion.
Well, I'll tell you what, Boeing's had several missteps over the last 10 years.
They're struggling.
If you know anything about Boeing, a lot of great engineers, like I said, a lot of great people.
Yeah.
But it's a top-down system.
Shitty management.
And their culture is like from the 1960s. It's like Mad Men.
Yeah.
And so...
Well, it's a company that merged with them.
McDonnell Douglas.
And I watched that documentary.
You told me to, and it was great.
That's when the culture changed, when McDonnell Douglas came on board.
They were all about shareholders and stock price. And, and cutting corners and...
Yep.
And punishing whistleblowers.
Well, and again, the end of the day, something has to work. If you have a jet and it takes off and the door pops off.
Yeah, bad things happen.
You know, and it's like, did you not check the bolts?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
of all things.
By the way, there's 8 out of 20 missing. So,
Well,
did you think that's a good idea?
Nothing on an aircraft is ever not it always has a redundant system, and that air sensor that caused the 737 Max.
well, you know, years
800
ago,
max
like
to
when
crash?
when I was in IT, you know, I was a CIO, but everybody, the CEO and the CFOs are all pushing me,
Yes.
hey, do your software development overseas. It was like, oh God, I really don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. I'd rather hire 2 or 3 really good American programmers than 20 people from overseas.
Amen.
Yes.
You know, and I've actually been in board meetings and I've told people, listen, this is my favorite saying for all you guys out there in the IT world. I said, here's what you want to do. You want to hire an American, and here's what, not because I'm particularly in love with Americans, but it's just common sense, right?
Right.
A good IT person will cost you a lot of money.
Right.
A bad IT person will cost you millions.
Right. Even more money. Way more money.
So yeah,
That's a good point.
you know, I mean, because they don't pay attention to coding, they don't pay attention to viruses,
Yep.
they don't pay attention to, you know, gate checks and on and on and on.
And you have downtime. And you have critical business
right.
function going, being down.
Yeah, and
Right.
so you need that maturity, you need and the command of the English language about how you design software to do certain things, and when you say something, what you really mean behind the language
Right.
is very important, because English is not an easy language.
No, it's not.
You know,
Yeah.
and it really does make a difference. It really does make a difference.
Agreed.
And so I'd rather hire 3 or 4 people that are highly, highly skilled than 100 people that are not.
Going back to the whole SpaceX, what were your thoughts when you saw that he was landing the booster rocket?
Oh, cool as hell.
On
Chopsticks.
That's cool as hell. Chopsticks.
Chopsticks. Yeah.
It's like great.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, the government's incentivized, like I said, to not break anything.
Right.
But it's okay if you throw stuff out.
Sure.
It just didn't break. So if the booster lands in the ocean, who gives a damn? It worked.
Right.
It worked once. We're good. You
Right.
know, and Elon's like, well, wait a minute. You
I can
know,
reuse this shit.
for 10% more, I can reuse that and save some money.
Right.
The government doesn't think like that. See, I you know, and again, you know, okay, another favorite saying of mine is, what's the definition of an elephant? That's a mouse designed to government specifications. Right. And so that's exactly what happens. They say, oh, if we can do it for $1 billion, what can we do for 10 billion?
Right.
It's like, what's wrong with just spending the 1,
Right.
not the 10? Oh, because that way we get more people, because I expand my empire
Yeah.
in my fiefdom, and I get more colleagues, and I get more direct reports, and then I get more lobbyists.
Yeah.
So their whole goal is to be
Power.
a cancer on America, is to grow the government, because that's how they get more of everything.
Yes. Agreed.
Instead of just doing the damn job.
You know, speaking of Elon and bringing up Doge, kind of doing a little twist here. So when Elon signed up for Doge, he anticipated I don't think he came up with a 6-month contract, but he said, I don't think it's going to take more than 6 months. So, you know, they've got all these people that are hyping and what do they call it? Trump came up with a new word.
Panicking.
Yeah, the panic.
So what Elon didn't know is he didn't know how to spell COBOL.
Cobalt.
COBOL, C-O-B-O, COBOL, which
The
is a
language.
program from
Language.
1980s.
Yeah.
He said, oh my God, you still use that in the SSA? Yeah, Social Security, and the databases don't talk to one another?
Right.
It's like, how many databases do you have? Oh, maybe 300. It's like, what?
Insane.
Yeah.
You have no checks on how many people are past a certain age because one database doesn't talk to the other. So yeah, you might be deceased and you're 150 years old in Social Security. They never told Medicare.
Right.
So there's somebody out there with an illegal Social Security number of the dead person, and they're getting Medicare or Medicaid.
I've read a report that AOC's great-grandmother or grandmother still gets a check and her family was cashing in.
No, I don't know how true that
You
is.
get it. Well, I don't know either, but Mr. Producer, see if you could pull that up. AOC grandmother check.
When we were talking about the people that are 115, 120,
Right.
the greatest joke was the Highlanders. They're all Highlanders.
They're all Highlanders, yeah. Right.
There
No, this should pop
there
up.
can be only one.
No, well, years ago, and I worked for Compaq, and I was like the equivalent of the healthcare director for IT.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd go down to hospital. I'd go all over the country to visit hospitals. And every hospital at the border towns, they're full in the ERs. and everybody's got the same last name and the same driver's license.
Sure. Oh, wow.
Because legally and morally, you have to treat somebody if they're sick.
Absolutely.
And
I agree with that.
And I'm Catholic. You help somebody when you help somebody. Whether or not their ID is valid is like, you got to help them. And if they stop bleeding, then you worry about the rest of it.
Yep.
And so all these hospitals at the border, they're going broke.
Right.
Because somebody's got to pay for that.
Yep.
Who pays for that is they raise the taxes on the people for trash collection. And they raise it for, your driver's license.
They're going to get their money somehow.
You got to get the money somewhere. So sales tax, the local municipality can raise their sales tax. Somebody's got to pay for the hospital. If not, they go out of business.
Yep.
And then it got kind of, what do you call it, bastardized, I guess, because then the trial lawyer started going there and said, well, you're not giving them the same standard of care, and you should have taken an x-ray and an MRI. And the x-ray is $20 and the MRI is $1,000.
Right.
It's like, he's got a broken bone. An x-ray ought to do. I gave him a cast. But no,
but they want to look at it from a different angle. Yeah. So that's ridiculous.
So the medical malpractice got out of hand too, and so it's like everything,
what's a scam?
The doctors
it
are all caught in the middle.
Insurance,
yeah,
it goes,
right.
It's a big scam, and it extends across the board with insurance.
So that's what I was talking about before. Callie Means is one of the new guys with Trump. He works for RFK. I saw a podcast about him the other day. He's a bloody genius, and he talked about, we're not cutting Medicare, we're not cutting benefits, but we're going to look at a way to re-engineer the system. We're going to look at, because right now it's all episodic care.
Yeah.
I'm sick, you give me a pill, right? And everybody's pushing this because the drug companies make money on pills.
Oh, man.
They don't make money on curing you.
They have a stranglehold.
They make money on treating you
sick.
And treating you,
yes.
right? So it's like, I'm naive. I didn't know this, but like, why did it take 40 years for us to get rid of red dye number 2?
Right.
Canada's, and we knew it was a carcinogenic ingredient 40 years ago.
Yep.
We're just now thinking about getting rid of it. It's like, really?
We researched that, and it's that cherry that you put into
the
old fashions.
The maraschino cherry.
The maraschino cherry.
They lobbied because they knew it would kill them if they banned that red dye.
Well, the red dye they use in Canada apparently is beet. You can use beet juice or carrot juice. Right. And because it's a natural organic substance, it's like, maybe it's not as red.
Right. Yeah, but nobody wants a not as red.
Yeah, but who gives a shit about that?
Who gives? I care more about.
I don't want a not as red Skittle.
I care more about the bourbon.
Anyways, man, Skittles are horrible for you. It's like the worst.
I eat organic Skittles.
Look it up, man. It's horrible for you.
Of course.
Now give me those red M&Ms. I'm all in.
Throw out the cherry and just drink the bourbon.
I also
problem solved.
I also read that PepsiCo and one of their potato chips, one of their flaming hot ones, they're having to completely reformulate to pull out the red dyes. And they're trying to, they're like, well, it won't be quite as vibrant because we're using, beets and this and that.
Instead of uranium, it doesn't glow in the dark.
Yeah,
right.
And people aren't going to understand how hot it's going to be, how spicy it is.
Oh, because
that's what the red conveys.
I see.
Right?
No, they do their market research. They understand how people connect with food.
You could put a number.
2 is not in anything we currently
it's right number 3
eat in the United States. It was banned in the FDA, and then 76 due to concerns or its potential carcinogenity. What?
It was red 3.
Red 3?
So red 3 is the colored.
Yes.
It's most likely if you're eating something
red
that's
3
red,
and red 40.
It's either 40. Red 40 or red 3 is what it says, yeah.
It's either a strawberry or a beet, or you shouldn't eat it.
Yeah.
That's my attitude.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
I 100%. And, in good riddance, because it doesn't stop there. We're going to branch into seed oils. We're going to branch into...
Well, potato chips, potato chips have 16 different chemicals in them. I didn't know that. I love McDonald's.
Well, hell, I mean, look at the...
I could break, McDonald's hamburgers for lunch with Trump all day long. It's cool.
Well, people think, well, I'm not gonna go to McDonald's. I'm gonna try to eat healthy. I'm gonna go Chick-fil-A. Well, Chick-fil-A has 42 chemicals in their chicken sandwich.
No,
42.
Ingredients, not chemicals.
They're what?
Ingredients, not chemicals.
I'm skeptical.
Well, I mean... Okay,
so chicken,
but some of those ingredients
oil,
are chemicals.
There were 2 that were, because I looked at that. There were 2 that were on the bad list of those 37. Yeah,
and the other 37 are super healthy.
Well, I don't know about that, but
all organic, super healthy.
It's not the chemicals. Put it that way.
Right.
So, what is the bad thing about it then?
there were two chemicals. There's fake butter in the bun.
Probably flavoring agents or some sort of preservative.
Yeah,
100%. So my point is that it doesn't require. I mean, when you're cooking chicken, I mean,
I agree.
It's seasoning. I mean, come on.
Right.
Agree.
You know, so
100%.
I mean, when you're in your bread, I mean, in your breads, including Subway sandwiches, I mean, they've got the same thing in the Subway bread that you put in yoga mats to the uniformity of the spatial of the bubbles inside the.
Well, I went to a sandwich shop for lunch.
cyanide.
You know, for the chili sauce, they label their chilies or their hot pepper sauce from 1 to 10.
Right.
From 1 is mild to 10 is really like flaming hot. Pick a number. You don't need a color.
Right.
You know, I pick number 3 or 4. I'm not picking number 10. I got to drive to Dallas for 4 hours. It's like, no way.
Right. Right. And don't associate a color with it. You don't need to artificially, you know, but again, they do the research. They know how people respond to food. And perception, and that's what they're catering to, right or wrong. That's what they've catered to for decades and decades. So we got to get out of that mindset. Health is more important than how a food looks.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm excited with RFK jumping in the bandwagon and starting to knock out some things. I haven't seen a whole lot of movement. I was excited about the fluoride in Utah.
You said they removed it, or they're starting to.
They passed it. They passed it where I think they're going to limit the amount of fluoride in it. I don't know exactly how far they're going to take it, but he's kind of like, you know, hold on. I was going to try to make it sound like I was RFK.
Oh, good luck with that.
How's he talking?
Wow. I can't do it.
Jeff, what are you doing over there?
That's like your first girlfriend. You know?
That did not sound like him at all. And the face you made was not necessary.
Yeah, that's another reason 522 why we don't have cameras.
That's why we don't do video. Right there, because of Jeff.
But, you know, the thing is that, look, I'm glad. I want him to beat this down. You know, I'm kind of disappointed. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I'm hoping that he's moving forward. From what I understood, that they're starting to dive into the kids' lunches and restructure what we're feeding our kids every single day in the schools.
Right.
You know, that's great. And
they're reversing all the Michelle Obama rules.
Yeah,
she tried to make it healthier, actually.
Well, she did and she didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, she made it seem like it was, but at the same time endorsed the rest of it, you know, by... I don't know what the term is called when you approve a block of, you know, of
whatever it was. The result was kids stopped eating.
Yeah, it didn't help. If you give them healthy food and they don't eat it, it's kind of
they stopped eating.
Defeats the purpose.
It wasn't good. It wasn't a good thing.
Right.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
Kids need calories. I mean, you want them to come from good sources, but they need calories. They burn energy, you know.
Well, see, part of the research that they're going to change, fundamental research that they're changing, is that for the last 20, 30 years, they have not been doing fundamental scientific research on these different chemicals.
Right.
Well, that's because our food pyramid was upside down, and you have the FDA, and you've got these people that are dictating what's healthy and what's not healthy based on bullshit, based on profit,
based on money. Yeah.
Well, you know, if you're overweight, they give you Ozempic, right? Well, Callie means you said that like twice as many 12-year-olds are on SSRIs now.
Right.
Than the last couple of years. It's what are 12-year-olds doing on Prozac? I mean, for real. Are we serious?
Because we live in a world where kids are being stressed out at a
Have
way
we thought
earlier
about
age.
Taking away the iPad and sending them out to play basketball in the schoolyard?
Yes, 100%.
You know, I mean, it's not hard.
Social media creates stress.
Texas is thinking about banning cell phones in schools.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
good for them.
Probably going to make our kids healthier.
That's a good start.
You know, it's there is a cause and effect.
Well, you're going to have a lot of parents instead of the kids complaining about that, because my wife's a teacher and she has a rule: your phones are not allowed out. So when she takes them up because a kid takes them out, a parent complains. I need to be able to get a hold of them whenever I need.
Oh boy!
Well, then you give them a phone. I'm sorry, you give them a watch. Or something that gives them
that they hang on their chest.
Minimal communication that is from a specific parent, you know, and you have means to communicate with them. Yeah. I mean, number one reason you want to know about it, because look, my parents didn't have fucking any of that stuff. Our parents didn't have any of that shit. They were like, he's at fucking school. You know, he should be there. Of course, you know, I skip school a lot, but it doesn't matter. You know, they thought I was there. But
that's what counts.
You want to make sure your kid is safe.
Perception's reality.
100% you want to make sure your kids are safe.
Yeah.
I mean,
I get that. I get it.
And I do, but that's why you give them a watch or something like that, like the heart's beating and it's at normal rate, so therefore they must be healthy and they're not under stress. And
the teachers can have guns and be trained in CHL or LTCs.
1,000%.
I agree with that.
And the teacher. Look, there's a lot of teachers out there that disagree with that. Strange enough, and sheer ignorance. And
no, I mean they don't believe that guns should be around kids. I get that, but I know I get it. I get it on both sides of the aisle. But
why
you
not?
You want to protect the kids. So
what are you gonna do? You're gonna let some
Well, we used to have
Venezuelan mob come in.
When my kids were younger at the YMCA, we used to have these outings. You go camping for the weekend,
like a brothel,
and they've had archery. Archery.
Oh,
you were close.
You were really close.
Damn it, Archer, close.
Yeah, really, really
or
close.
the 22 rifles. You take the kids out, let them fire a bunch of 22 rifles at a target.
Fun.
Yep.
Go shoot some metal targets.
100%. Let them get used to it. But
and they're 8 years old. They know how to use a 22 rifle. It's
right.
like,
and you teach them gun safety.
And so it's not a big deal anymore.
Right.
Now they come home and they say, I'd rather just play basketball. It's okay, cool. They'll never touch my rifle again.
Right.
They'd rather play basketball. Knock yourself out, kid.
Right.
Well, it's important for them to do all that stuff, archery and shooting a gun, and I wish more kids would take that up. And the kids are now they're so estranged from these weapons. They don't know that they're fascinated by it. You've got this kid from a high school right here in Frisco that he had some issue and he thought it was necessary to carry a Rambo fucking knife in his gym bag.
That's sad.
Where
so
someone
sad.
confronted him, he felt it was okay to pull this Rambo knife and stab this.
Was it a Rambo knife? I thought it was a little pocket knife.
No, doesn't much matter. He killed somebody.
Shit, it was a big blade.
I heard it was a kitchen knife.
Oh no!
I don't know. I don't know.
I will tell you this: if that's true, because they're talking. He was charged with murder 1.
Sure,
which is premeditated murder. If he had a knife that is not a normal knife to carry, like you carry pocket knives.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right? You can get away with that. But if he's putting a knife in his bag that is clearly meant to do something with, he's fucked.
Hate to say it, it's immaterial. When I was younger, we couldn't do that in New York. When I traveled the train, like 10 years old, say carry a screwdriver in your pocket.
Right.
Police officer is not going to take away a screwdriver.
Right.
But you could use a screwdriver for self-defense.
100%.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. It's like, what's wrong with people fighting instead of just using the middle finger? I'm okay with that.
There's new information about the investigation into the stabbing death of the 17-year-old Frisco student athlete. CBS News Texas has learned from law enforcement sources involved in the investigation that 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony pictured, the suspect to the murder of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Horrible, by the way, his twin brother just watching him pass away in his arms, just pushing down the blood, trying to keep it from going. Had previously been suspended for bringing a knife to school. Previously been suspended.
Wow.
And law enforcement tells us the 17-year-old kid should have been in class at the Centennial High School, was skipping school, and allegedly stabbed Metcalf following an altercation.
So he wasn't even a track runner?
I don't know.
He was skipping school and he just went to the meet to watch?
Yep. Probably.
Which means he had a reason to be there. And what was that reason? Premeditated.
There
All right,
go.
so for our international...
Was that the knife right there?
No.
Oh, okay.
So for our international listeners who have no idea, we had it's national news now, a very local story. We have a track meet, a local track meet, and...
it was
a district track meet.
Yeah.
So we had a kid that went to my kid's high school and a kid that went to Memorial High School. I think they had a beef before this happened. If that's going to come out, I'm pretty sure it will. And they got into an altercation in the bleachers. One thing led to another, and one kid stabbed the other one in the heart, and he ended up dying. So it is a big thing in our town right now because, first off, the one who stabbed the victim is, is black. Yep, is black, and the victim was white. And so now we have a racial thing that's going on in our town, in our city. We have he's a good kid, but, he was defending himself because he was being bullied, and so this is unfair for him to be, attacked for this. And then we have the twin brother. I mean, this is a mess in our town. I mean, and talk about hitting close to home. This is...
Yeah, but they're outside the school. There are signs out there to support the gentleman that stabbed him.
Yes.
Hey,
yes.
what are they saying exactly?
Well, they're saying,
what is the verbiage they say on those signs? It's like
I only saw justice for Austin
there you go.
Matthews.
Justice.
No,
no.
that was for the victim.
That was for the victim.
Metcalf is the victim.
Correct. Justice for Austin Metcalf. So
my bad.
that was
Okay.
Yeah.
That
That
makes
is
sense.
way better. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, the
but-
thing is, the group that did that is you don't want it from that group. That's a fascist, neo-fascist group, white supremacist group
Oh, great.
that posted that.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah,
See-
that's
you
why.
see what I'm saying?
That's why I sent that to you.
So, yeah, so the national-
I'm too busy working to know about all this stuff. It's like
This-
I made sure my kids were school. They had homework.
Yeah.
They had mandatory in our house. They had to belong to a sport or the band or something or after school activity.
Yep.
They were too. They came home and they were too damn tired to fight with anybody.
Well, both of these kids are in football.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. They weren't. It's not. This is not an idle. Idle
they're
teenage
really?
problem.
Okay.
This was a beef that turned into teenagers not knowing how to solve problems,
Apparently.
or thinking that it was there. You live in a world where there's no consequences. I mean, you make a bad decision, there is a consequence to that. I mean, and there's no getting around it.
And I feel horrible for all parties.
I do
mean,
too.
the Metcalf
nobody wins.
father just got over cancer months prior. And it's just it's tough.
It's
and
a
I feel
mess.
bad for the black kid's parents and
Oh,
his family because they're kind of like, oh my god, they have lost their kid too.
Yes.
Because
Oh,
their kid
yeah.
was an idiot. Is it because they did poor parenting?
Right.
Yes. At the end of the day, how is it that your kid had a freaking knife in there that stabbed some other? You need to be
Well,
connected
who
more.
felt that was the solution? How do you get to that point? You're like, I'm just going to stab you
Yeah.
and kill you.
Even if you're being bullied.
Yeah.
I'm going to meet you at the track meet the next day because, you broke my phone at a party last weekend, and I'm going to bring this knife, and I'm going to force you to put your hands. That's why he is in serious trouble with his argument. He was asking the guy to punch him. Put your hands on me. Put your hands on me and punch me and see what happens. As soon as the guy touched him, he stabbed him. So he was saying, I was attacked. This is self-defense.
Right.
He even asked the policeman when he was being led to the car. He goes,
Yeah.
Do you think that was self-defense? He asked the cop that.
Not a good time to ask a question after the fact.
No.
No.
I mean, he was basically saying, shit, am I in trouble here? Or am I legit in my self-defense thing? Bullshit. It was premeditated. He was asking him to put hands on him so that he had a reason to stab him. And he brought the knife for the purpose. The kid's in serious trouble. That's all I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So at this time, I want to take a little Pinhook break and dive into our drink of the week.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
It's the collaboration series number 2 from Pinhook. This is based out of the Still Austin.
Well, no. Pinhook is not. The juice inside is from Still Austin.
I didn't know that. So they buy the juice from Still Austin and then they create it themselves. And,
For these collaborations they do, yeah.
yeah. So is this similar to Rare Character kind of stuff?
Is it a blend? Yeah. Is it a blend? Or what is this?
It says straight bourbon whiskey. It doesn't say
Well, it's
blend
called
on it.
collaboration. So, no, this one's straight bourbon. I think it's just straight bourbon. So it's been there for at least 2 years based on everything we had said, right?
Yep.
Right.
But look, the taste on this. Look, so we had this probably a year and a half ago, and I fell in love with this. I absolutely loved it. It's super rich. What is the proof on this?
It's
118.
118.9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is pretty hot, but it doesn't taste that hot. At least it doesn't to me. And it's got a very rich taste. I would deep notes of vanilla, banana bread, or just kind of
It's got a lot of flavor.
Caramel. There.
caramel.
Yeah.
It's got some dark stuff going on there.
So, Sean, this says blended and proofed from 20 Pinhook barrels out of Still Austin.
Okay.
Yeah,
20
it's right
different
there.
barrels.
Yeah.
So they blended it. Okay. And proved. Yep, sure is.
So
Aged for 4 years in the Texas heat. That's one thing that we've been talking about a lot is Texas distilleries
Right.
are benefiting from the huge variation in climate in Texas.
Yep.
Right? In terms of the
Well,
aging in the barrels.
I
love
think
that.
what it allows you to do is you can get older tasting whiskey sooner
Yes.
than you can elsewhere. Right?
Aged 4 years is the equivalent of 6 or 8 in Kentucky, right?
It's
Sort of.
it has the possibility. It depends on how hot
Right.
any given summer. because the humidity in the air is different. So it theoretically would evaporate less with the high humidity.
Yep.
Whereas in Kentucky, if it's drier, you'd probably lose more of the Angel's share.
Right.
Yeah.
But it would take longer. So it's a possibility. It's like everything else.
It's chemical. It's a lot of stuff
it's
going
chemical,
on.
It's environmental.
I'm enjoying the competition between Texas and Kentucky.
Yeah, me too.
100%. And I'm rooting for Texas.
Kentucky is not enjoying the competition.
Oh,
I'll tell you
heck
that.
no, man. Because we
not at all.
We're coming running, and we've mentioned before about Lowry Crossing's 1845 distillery.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend their products. Their juice is fantastic. Pinhook, I like their juice. I'm enjoying their juice. I'm not happy with the ethics, the DEI crap they got going on, but I'll let that go, and I'll just stick with the juice itself. And this is very flavorful for me. I'm enjoying it.
So I've got when I taste it first, I get sweet.
Yeah.
On the front, on the sides of my tongue, I get sweet. It's hotter than I like. Obviously, for me, I said I'm not a big fan of the high proof. And then on the back, I get the richer caramel. So it's two distinct, very different flavors.
Yeah, I get that too.
It's like two different bourbons almost.
Yeah.
I enjoy this. Like I shared, this was one of my favorite picks that we accidentally fell on. How did we get that second bottle?
We saw it at Specs and we bought it.
That's all it was?
Yeah.
God bless. I'm so glad.
We're like, they're not making this anymore.
I'm so glad we picked up that bottle.
And we picked it up.
Yeah, so we have a full bottle of this stuff just sitting up there. And yeah, whatever. I'm enjoying it.
It's interesting because there's two things that we pointed out tonight that we always harp on, right? When we have a higher proof bourbon that doesn't burn and is smooth and it's rich and it's flavorful, and then a lower bourbon like Big Stick has the flavor. Like whenever we see a lower one that has the flavor that matches one that's a high proof, it's great. We're bringing out two very important things tonight in bourbons that we're trying.
Flavor is everything, and that's one of the biggest downfalls of some of these lower proofed bourbons is that they've got a great taste, but it's kind of like you gotta put a bunch in your mouth and swish it to taste that taste, and it eviscerates right away. It just disappears.
Yeah, it doesn't last very long.
But this stuff it lasts long. The Big Stick lasts a long time, and it's got that white peppery finish at the end. Which is different from the regular peppery because it just continues to have that tingle at the end, and that's enjoyable for me.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the Angel Share isn't just the Angel Share. It's the fact that it's brand new wood, so it's got brand new resin in it.
Yep.
So the resin all by itself, I mean, if you think about it, it's like a Chardonnay with the buttery feel.
Yeah.
Not just the flavor, but it's the mouthfeel itself will last a long time.
Viscousy.
So the viscousness holds the flavor longer on your palate.
Yeah.
That was for you, Larry. Hey,
Big word.
Where do you procure the oak?
It's actually a furniture grade millwork shop in Houston.
So you're breaking down old furniture, couches.
So it's
roadside couches,
brand new.
You're varnishing off the stain.
If the cabinets in my bar are made out of the exact same wood, brand new.
That's great. That's great.
I don't mind the rust or the staples.
Untarnished, unvarnished. Yeah, nothing. Just literally make cabinets out of it if you choose to.
All natural oak. Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I enjoy our sampling. I enjoy this every week.
But your barrels.
Yeah.
You were talking about your staves. What about your barrels?
Traditional.
Okay. Where's your cooperage?
So it's just the barrels come from Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
A cooperage in Kentucky. Okay. Okay, cool. I mean, actually, that was one thing I learned.
Pretty traditional.
When we did tours up there, we were doing distillery tours and all this kind of stuff, and then we drove by a cooperage.
Right.
And we were like, let's just stop in there. And they didn't have any tours or anything. They were just a dude that was working behind the desk. And we were like,
right.
I just wanted to kind of see what you guys do here. And they had the whole setup of, what they do when they build the barrels and then they burn them and all this kind of shit. It was fascinating what goes into that. And how few cooperages supply so many
They've all turned into high volume
Yes.
places.
It's turned into a science. So,
but there's not that many of them, is what I'm saying. So
No, actually, no.
So like if a cooperage went down, like suppose they had some sort of
it would be
fire or
bad.
something,
It would be bad.
Really bad.
It would be really bad.
Interesting.
You'd have to start buying European oaks.
I guess.
Yeah, well, that was kind of what I was about to
Hungarian.
chat about.
Well,
Yeah.
again, because
Regarding-
like COVID messed up everybody in the supply chain, which is why some of them are going to like the 25-gallon barrels.
Yes.
Or the European barrels, which are slightly larger.
Because they couldn't get
We're going to skip that.
Because they could, yeah. So,
get barrels.
but again, all that changes your ratio, it changes your flavor, changes your aging profile. So it's like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's different. You've got to re-engineer
Yes.
your whole flavor process.
Well, I
your
know
aging and
we
profile.
were up in Iron Root, up in Denison,
Mhm.
and they've
Without
started.
Paul.
They've
Yeah,
started.
great.
Yeah, without Paul.
Yeah.
They've started
They don't
using.
invite me to those things.
What was the size? Because the standard
It's
bourbon,
55 gallon.
53.
well, 53
53,
standard,
yeah.
but they were using what 60-gallon.
Oh, they had a couple bigger ones.
They
European.
had their,
Yeah.
and that's
European.
what they called them wine barrels. They said
Yeah, they
it's
were-
the same
yeah,
ones
they were
that
bigger,
right.
they're bigger. They what they've discovered is it slows down the aging process in the heat. So they're not just blasting through stuff and so fast. They want to keep it in the barrel a little bit longer, and
a little more control.
it's a little more controlled. So they've
It's mad. Probably a 10% larger barrel probably slows down the aging process by 20%
right.
because the surface area ratio is
So
different.
that's what they're doing
Right.
up there, and that's what when I was looking at what all their barrels, a big chunk of them were the new big barrels that they're using.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm curious. You had brought up in the first half of the podcast regarding your consistency using the American White Oak.
Right.
Are you going to come up with some, not necessarily French oak, but more about the what is the RD1 spirits? The
Amburana.
Yeah.
We were talking about
Amburana.
that
earlier.
I
Yeah.
would really, I would encourage a sample of the Amburana and see what that does, because we have done the RD1 spirits,
Mm-hmm.
and I personally,
It's good.
I love their Amburana
It's
version.
so different.
It's
So
a
different.
Nestle. It's like a dessert kind of whiskey.
Okay.
And it's still strong. It has all the faculties of a normal whiskey, but it's got this hint of
Cinnamon.
oh my god,
It's
yeah.
cinnamon toast crunch. is
It's
what it
crazy.
tastes like.
It's and 100%. And I'm not a huge fan of that across the board with all whiskeys.
Right.
I'm just kind of curious what your juice would taste with that influence.
I'll
know?
try some. Yeah, sure.
I would encourage
That would be really cool.
because like the Iron Root, you mentioned Iron Root. Iron Root is unique because they use all types of different corns that they procure from
Right.
a region: red, orange, green, purple, all kinds of bullshit. The stuff, amazing stuff they put in, and they also fuck around with the barrels. I mean, not just the
Right.
sizes, but they use French oak lids and white American oak
Sure.
sides, and they fuck around with everything and try to make it. And
Right.
to me, that's fascinating. I am. I do like consistency, but at the same time, I do like to dive in and have a sweet every now and then.
See,
you know?
I really thought it'd be cool. I was first talking about, if we built our own distillery, I wanted to have one with a climate controlled rack house.
Nice.
Ah.
So you could dial up your temperature high
Sure.
or low and
Make your own variation.
make your own very based on
like a fucking
what
sauna.
your thermostat. Yeah.
Go
Interesting.
cold, go
So you have
hot, go
100%
cold, go
control
hot.
at that
Hey, it's
point.
right.
A
Yeah.
Dutch oven in there.
That's kind of actually not a bad idea.
So I'm sure it'd take a lot of money. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
but
I wonder if you can cook brisket in the same room. And
You got to get up to about 250 for that.
I think
220.
100.
220.
I mean,
Yeah.
over a long
212.
term.
Right.
If you sous vide a brisket, you have to be at 165 degrees.
Yes.
So
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
there's that.
But
And
you
then
don't have
you're
the plastic.
Then you're infusing. You got to make sure the smoke gets.
Have you
But
ever seen
in-
something?
In other words, it's a normal Texas warehouse.
Yes.
165 degrees.
Well,
So, yeah.
165 over 165 is what was suggested to cook a brisket
Right.
in a plastic bag.
The
Do
sous
you know what
vide,
sous vide is?
Yeah.
So to cook a brisket in a plastic bag at 160 or 165 degrees for 2.5 days.
A long time.
Yeah, 65
That's a
hours.
long
65
time.
to 68 hours.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
And folks out there, I encourage you to do not do that.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, one, it tastes great. So from that perspective, 100% do it. The bad part is dude, the amount of microplastics that
Right.
degrade straight into
there you
that. And the reason why I say that isn't because I'm like, oh, look at me, I'm being self-conscious. No, man, when you pick up that fucking bag and
It deteriorates.
oh
it
my god,
disintegrates.
it's like there's shit going on, and you set it down, and you've got these granules on your hands, and you can feel it, and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna ingest that, and I'm like, I'm gonna ingest that. So I ate the whole fucking thing, but still.
So you do understand when you cook meat over an open flame, the very charring process is carcinogenic.
Oh, it's carcinogenic.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right. So
totally.
yeah.
Was it Dr. Berg? Was that his? You
So
listen to him?
I'm no, but I've read the scientific journals. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is, right?
Yep.
So it's either that or eat tofu. So I'm gonna stick with the hamburger.
I'll
Yeah.
stick
It's
with
okay.
brisket. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I'll stick with brisket.
I'll
for
take
sure.
my chances.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
You just got to eat
The
raw.
COVID shot was more dangerous for me than the damn brisket will ever be.
Absolutely.
I'm on board with both of them. Well, look, I'm super thankful that you took the time to come up and see us today. And I mean, what does the rest of your week look like?
Oh, so I'm doing tastings at some Total Wines here in the area for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Heading back.
Where are you going to be on Friday?
Let me get my list.
Well, let's check it out.
Yeah.
Check out our Dudes Like Us listeners out there, because
We might have to
Come check
crash
it out, yeah.
We might have to crash your party.
we may show up, bring you a sack lunch or something.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Bring your burrito.
No,
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah,
that.
bring your Subway
Una
sandwich
burrito.
with chemicals in the bread.
Yeah. So here we go. Here's my. I got all kinds of stuff going on.
You going to be hanging out at the Plano 121 Total Wine area?
There's Plano and West Plano. So let's see. Thursdays, Fort Worth in the morning, Louisville in the afternoon. Friday, Arlington in the morning, Total Wine Arlington. And then let's see.
Ooh, it's lining up pretty well.
Denton, Friday, Denton, 3 to 6 p.m. in the afternoon.
That's the other way.
Saturdays, West Plano. West Plano, Saturday morning.
That-
And
All
then
right. Well, that's West
Saturday.
Plano is that's store number 5. I
That's
think.
us.
West Plano, Saturday
Is it a
morning.
paid?
84.
Is it a paid tasting, or is it just a?
No, they don't pay me.
No, I
I
mean,
show up and
It's not a class,
Free
in other
samples.
words.
No, it's free samples.
So, when are you going to do a
Free
class
samples.
for Total Wine at all?
I've done some of the bourbon classes. Yeah, from time to time they invite me to come in and do. I've got a whole like 45-minute presentation on the history of spirits.
Well, I would
whiskey,
love
the
to participate in that.
settlers.
but
why
we could
American?
join him on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, we can. Are you going to be there Wednesday? We can
Saturday.
Saturday.
Oh, I'm sorry, Saturday. What the hell?
Saturday. Yeah,
Okay. Well,
Saturday
that's
morning,
the Total Wine that we crash every Friday.
West Plano.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Yeah,
So
that's us.
we just might have to crash your party.
there you go.
All right. Well, I'm super thankful you came out tonight.
Yeah, I
Guys,
hope
any
you had
late
fun
last
tonight.
questions?
Yeah,
Did you have
so-
fun tonight?
That was great. You guys are awesome. Yeah.
Good,
Oh, yeah.
good.
We should do this again.
I hope so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that was
looking
super
forward
cool.
to it. We
I'll bring
do the,
116. I got the 116 proof for the R&D.
Oh, yeah.
That I'm
That
super excited. What's the
would be
timeline
great.
on that?
When I get back here, it'll be a month or two.
All right. So
All right,
within
just wanna
the
get back
next
here.
Let's
few
do it.
months.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, it's the second half of the Dudes Like Us podcast. If you guys don't know, it's April 8th, and we are check us out. Smash that button for the Dudes Like Us on Facebook and Instagram. It's Dudes Like Us -podcast, Dudes Like Us -woodcraft.
And
if you want some swag, subscribe. We're on YouTube too. They
Yes.
kick a lot of our shit off because we break some of the rules. Oh, you can't mention vaccines aren't real or whatever. All that shit.
No, they're real. They're just horrible.
Vaccines
I
aren't
mean,
real.
the COVID
Get rid
vaccines
of that.
aren't real.
Shit.
Like birds.
He just said vaccines aren't real. We're definitely getting
Lord.
canceled.
All right, well, Dudes Like Us. Thank you, Chuck, for staying on top of shit. Thank you, Mike. Dudes Like Us. I'm Sean.
I'm Paul.
I'm Jeff.
And Mike from Big Stick Bourbon.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Thank you, bud.